Hi, it's Mitra Sorrells from the PhocusWire studio, and I am joined today with Tim Sullivan, President and CEO of Cendyn. Welcome.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Wonderful. We're glad you could join us. So, I believe it's been about a year and a half since you have been the President and CEO, stepped into that role. Is that correct?
That sounds about right, although I've been with the company for over a decade now.
Yeah. So it's been kind of a busy time for Cendyn in the last year and a half. I mean, even throughout the pandemic. I know that in February of this year, you merged with NextGuest.
That's right.
And then in November, you merged with Pegasus.
We announced the merger with Pegasus just a few weeks ago, and we expect that deal to close in the fourth quarter of this year. Yeah.
And there's also several other partnerships and other things that you've had going on. So, I was looking back through some of our coverage, and I know when I just wrote about the Pegasus merger, one of your comments was that it's about creating a comprehensive solution so hotels don't give up the gains that they have made in the direct booking channel to the OTAs coming out of the pandemic. As international travel resumes, isn't it inevitable that the OTAs are going to regain some share?
Absolutely is inevitable. That doesn't mean that hotels shouldn't be fighting for every booking, right? So the intermediaries are spending 10 to 1 on advertising against the global brands. The global brands are spending 10 to 1 against the independent brands and management companies, ownership groups. So yeah, there's a real disadvantage as far as firepower.
Okay.
That's why our belief is around they have to be smarter. And the only way to do that is through smarter technology, automation, personalization, and optimization. That's the way to win new guests and break through in a very fragmented shopping and booking experience, and then to really focus on those repeat guests. Once you get them in the door, people focus so much of their time and energy and money on the acquisition side of the equation, and often the retention side gets less attention. But if you can increase retention by just 5%, you can grow profits by 25% or more. So
tell me a bit more then, what does that retention strategy look like?
Well, it's about knowing your guest, right? We constantly preach this single source of truth. The more you know about your guest, and then it's not just knowing and having the data though, it's not just the data in a report, it's operationalizing it, making it actionable. So taking that data in a way that when you see that guest appear at any touch point, you can deliver the right message at the right time via the right channel in a personalized way. That could be an electronic communication, that's an email or an ad or a message on the website, but it could also be live at the property, pushing that data to the front lines of the business. So the person you're standing in front of at the front desk or the concierge or guest services can have a deeper, more meaningful interaction with you because they're looking at a screen that shows your status, whether you're a member of the loyalty program, how many times you've stayed, et cetera, et cetera. Right.
So on that topic of personalization and optimizing the guest experience, what are your thoughts about the future? I feel like there's a little bit of a contrast between that push and strategy of personalization, but also we know that consumers want choice and they want transparency, and what's the balance there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've been preaching for over a decade. This a pet peeve of mine is you walk into most hotels and the first thing they ask you at the front desk is, have you stayed here before? I may have stayed at that hotel 50, 100 times. Yeah. I'm sure people are tired of me telling this story, but it's because we haven't fixed it.
Yeah.
And we haven't fixed it because personalization at scale is challenging. And it's really a combination of a technology solution and an operations solution coming together. You have to change the processes and get the data where it needs to be. But yeah, the pandemic is challenging as it's been. It has accelerated digital transformation. It's been an accelerant in many ways, right? According to McKinsey, digital transformation has accelerated 3 years over the past 18 months. Digitization of service delivery has accelerated up to 7 years, according to their reporting. So if you think about that, the hospitality industry has historically been a little slower to adopt. So this is an accelerant factor. So the good news is that people are listening and they're primed to make that investment. They see the shifts taking place with contactless, with doing more with less staff, the labor challenges. So there is an opportunity in time right now for people to really reassess their technology stack and how they're delivering their service in a more automated, more personalized way.
Okay, but the word you used there was investment. So, isn't there also a bit of a challenge there, certainly maybe more so in some markets than others or some hotels than others, to have that budget to put toward this right now?
Well, shame on me for calling it an investment. Well, it's an investment in that there's a return, right?
Sure.
So,
I understand that. Yeah.
So historically, hotels have looked at technology as, it's this capital expenditure. It's this hole in my budget. And the way the legacy technology has been deployed is there's this cycle where I have to upgrade my servers. I have to have a server room. With everything moving to the cloud in this acceleration in digital transformation, it's really technology investment should be looked at growing revenue. It should be looked at as a means to increase profitable revenue growth. So, one of our software platforms that we sell is a CRM software. The ROI on that, if you look at the subscription fee being paid versus the bookings and the repeat business that it drives, is off the charts. So if you shift the lens slightly and you start with what is the return on this,
right,
then it's easier to go to the board or to ownership and say, we need to make this investment now because it's going to deliver dividends over the next couple of years.
But I guess I am still wondering, what are you hearing back from hoteliers as you're talking to them? Is there, even if there's a recognition of those points that you're making and that there is high ROI, the fact is it still takes the money up front to start to initiate some of this.
Yeah, look, we're very optimistic. We're seeing good movement. Obviously, everybody pulled back, ourselves included, when March 2020, everything stopped overnight, right? It was pretty drastic. And then people pulled back. I think we started to see, we got a taste of what 2022 could look like in the summer, right? That pent-up demand exploded. Yes. And it was incredible, the bookings, and then Delta hit. And I wouldn't call it necessarily a pullback, but it felt like a pause to us. People said, okay, now we need to wait and see again. With the pandemic waning, borders opening up, when that inflection point hits and that pent-up demand comes back into the market, and it's starting to, we're sitting here face to face, right? There's a lot of people in this hotel right now. We feel very bullish about what that's going to mean for travel. And the customers we're talking to, there's been capital sitting on the sidelines. It's not that they don't have money to invest, they're waiting for the right time. Okay. And for us, the leading indicator is how much they're spending on their marketing campaigns, digital marketing activity. And then the technology investments follow after that. So, in a pause, if somebody hasn't updated their website in 2 years, like that cycle is here, and to really take advantage of that pent-up demand that's coming back, they need to be ready for it. So we're seeing people willing to invest now.
Okay. And then what about for Cendyn? As we mentioned, you've had some mergers, some things in the mix, more M&A in your future. What is needed for you?
Yeah, look, our belief, our thesis going, in the pandemic was, and what we're hearing from our customers is they're understaffed, the world has changed. Just tracking what's happening, year-over-year metrics are out the door, the changes in privacy and Google doing away with cookies, Facebook, the Apple app, no tracking, like their metrics are all over the place and they're just looking for help. At the same time, they're understaffed and they're saying, we want a trusted technology partner that can do more for us. So our view of the world was, coming out of the pandemic, that scale and stability will matter. And our vision is to provide this vertically integrated technology platform that optimizes and personalizes every touch point on the guest journey. So to do that, we're looking at other partnerships or M&A activity that furthers that vision, so we can be that trusted technology partner. Bring the data in, provide that single source of truth, but then light up any app or third-party app or BI and analytics solution to help them really capture their fair share of this demand that we know is coming back in 2022.
So that sounds to me like there potentially will be more news coming out in the
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Stay tuned, potentially. Yeah.
All right. Wonderful.
Always open to opportunities, for sure.
Okay. Great. Well, Tim Sullivan, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us. We really appreciate it.
Pleasure talking to you. It's great to be here in person.
Yeah, isn't it? It's wonderful. All right. Thanks so much.